missed the layup. Rebound Union, 2 seconds left. Up the floor, throw it away. The history of Jim Norick Arena's high school sports hosting is bookended by Antlers. In 1966, the girls team wins a Class C title. And now, in 2025, it's the boys team who hoists the gold ball at Jim Norick Arena.
They're partying like it's 1974 as the Antlers are state champions on the boys' side of Oklahoma 6A. Congratulations to Deer Creek defeating Union in the state championship to win the school's first state title since 1974. It was the first time they had appeared in a state championship since 1995 when they were back in 3A. Welcome to the KREF High School Huddle and another edition of our KREF High School podcast. He's Connor Pasby. I'm Grayson Singleton. Thanks so much for watching on our KREFsports.tv YouTube. And as always, remember to follow us on social media, on IG, on Twitter, X, and on Facebook as well. We're going to post schedules. We got graphics and highlights and interviews and everything that we can think of promoting all of our KREF schools. Let's go ahead and start with the best thing from the weekend. And the best thing from the weekend was a state champion as Deer Creek defeats Union in the state championship 78-69 after defeating Moore the previous night. Clyde Davis Jr., 19.7 points per game during the 3-day state tournament. And in that championship game, Caden Leach, 19 points. Phoenix Woodson, 13 points as well. And Connor, a season that we didn't really know what was going to happen with Deer Creek. Didn't even win the district. Finished second in the district, got blown out in the first game at area, came back, and all of a sudden are state champions. What do you take from this run to a title for the Antlers?
Well, talk about a heck of a way to respond by Deer Creek to, like you mentioned, get blown out in area against Norman, and then turn around and put together a really impressive run in the state tournament. They got matched up against Owasso, and right away in that first round matchup, I'm sure a lot of people had Owasso advancing and have a chance to go back-to-back, but Deer Creek was able to spoil the party, and they just continue to keep that going. They faced another tough opponent against Moore that they were able to win to get to the finals, got matched up with Union, a little bit of an upset there that we saw with Union over Broken Arrow, but just a really impressive job by Union. I mean, so many pieces that they have offensively, and led by Clyde Davis Jr. that continue to carry the load for them offensively. So it was a really impressive way to respond after that area defeat, and credit to what the Antlers did.
I'm going to go back in reverse chronological order here. So I talked to Clyde before the game, before the Moore game, the semifinal game, and he said he really felt like they had a size advantage on the interior, something we talked about on our podcast last week. And in that semifinal game, Phoenix Woodson, 19 points, 12 boards, and sacrificed a few teeth in the process as well. So you defeat Moore, the size advantage prediction comes true. But I want to go all the way back to the Bruce Gray tournament because I was there covering it, and I talked to Coach Donnelly during that tournament. At that point, there was basically a almost 4-way tie for the top of the district. And he said, if we take care of our business in the regular season, we'll win the district. We still have another game against Norman North. We still have another game against Southmore. Those two have to play each other twice. So if we take care of our business, we win the district. Needless to say, they didn't do that. They got blown out by Norman North on Valentine's Day night, finished second in the district, still ended up hosting a region that they blew through. And then area came. And I remember calling that area game and seeing them walk off the court after just being completely destroyed by Norman. And I was like, well, how are they going to bounce back from that? They split with Southmore. They got swept by Norman North. And that was going to be, one of those two was going to be the matchup that they had to win to go to state. End up beating Norman North. And then they beat Owasso. They get matched up with the reigning defending champion. And they just kept it going, kept it going, kept it going. And I think what was so interesting is that they made a switch in the starting lineup in the state tournament. Mason Smith goes into the starting lineup. Cooper Lasky, I believe, comes out. I could be wrong about that. But anyway, Mason Smith was inserted into that starting lineup. And all of a sudden, they're beating teams that, quite frankly, we didn't think they'd beat. Yeah. I mean, Owasso is a huge team in terms of size. Moore beat them, and then Union. So it's just, to me, it was an incredible story of how a team can morph into its best self as a season goes on. Basketball is a long season, and the fact that they were able to do that is pretty cool.
And it shows what kind of team chemistry that they have, that they can bring someone off the bench into the starting lineup and just get better. Mason Smith is a great role player for them, and he knows his role when he's out there on the floor. Plays great defense. He's a big physical kid, can score when he needs to, can rebound. He's a great X factor for this Deer Creek team, and he played a pivotal role for them. We know what Clyde and Phoenix Woodson gives you on a nightly basis, but Mason Smith is the big X factor for them.
Yeah. Caden Leach, by the way, 19
Leach
points.
too, yeah.
Yeah, Caden points. 19 points in the championship game, 12 points in the semifinal game, and him and Phoenix Woodson were the big transfers into Deer Creek that had a lot of people predicting them to do something special at the beginning of the year. I think they were the second-ranked team coming into the season, and that in large part was due to the 2 transfers. And all of a sudden, those 2 transfers come up big in the state tournament.
And when we saw Deer Creek last year, we could tell the one thing that they were missing was some size. We know they had great guard play, and coming to this year, I mean, right away, Phoenix Woodson made a heck of a job on the floor for them. He played well. He uses his size, and he's also a guy that can step out and shoot. And we saw him continue to shoot the ball right at the free throw line, sometimes step back even further. But he's a big kid, 6'8". Another kid that played a huge factor for them when they had a size advantage over teams in the state tournament.
By the way, let's not get this lost, too. Deer Creek lost 4 of their top 6 guys in their rotation from a year ago to graduation. They graduated a lot of guys, including some size on the front line as well. Leading scorer graduated. Starting center graduated, among others. So really cool story of retooling a program, and obviously transfers are going to be a big thing now that the rule has been very, very much relaxed. So you never know from season to season what you're going to bring in. Sometimes graduating guys doesn't mean that the program is just going to fall off. So again, congratulations to the Antlers of Deer Creek winning their first state title in boys basketball since 1974. Incredible. Another thing we want to talk about is, as we go to the girls' side, the Norman Tigers came out of a pretty impressive season, a really impressive season, got all the way to the semifinal game, lost to Mustang in a game that you heard Andrew Himes and myself on the call for. And I guess I'll start with this one. I gotta credit Mustang, first of all. They came out with an excellent defensive game plan. They really, really did, executed it at the highest level. But that game was fun. It was a lot of fun. I liked how Halen Browning was able to step up to the plate and be the main ball handler, the main initiator of offense, and play well, and be as assertive as she was in a new role. And the fact that they had that second ball handler was something that definitely played to their benefit this year, to having that second player. But all in all, I mean, you look at the 3 teams. They lost 3 games. Norman did. They lost 3 games this season, 2 to Putnam City North, 1 to Mustang. Both of those teams were in the state championship. So not a whole lot you can hang your head about when it comes to this season.
No, you can't. Yeah, and Halen Browning was a first-team All-State tournament team when that came out a little bit ago. She had a great game in that first one against Union, and she responded with another good one against Mustang. We talked last week about how similar Mustang and Norman are. They both like to get up and down, played great defense, but Norman got behind the 8 ball in that first quarter when those turnovers started to pick up, and Mustang was able to build a lead on them, and Norman could not just get back in the ball game, it felt like.
Yeah, turnovers and allowing a lot of offensive rebounds as well. That too. Really, really did the Tigers in. One other thing from the girls semifinals is Broken Arrow, after a highly impressive season as well, led by Michigan commit Mackenzie Mathurin. They were shorthanded in the state tournament, and they ended up losing to Putnam City North in the semifinal game, lost 64-47, kind of a surprising margin of victory there. But recap the Broken Arrow season for us, and a really good one for the Tigers.
Well, it stinks for Broken Arrow in the state tournament without having one of your big-time playmakers when you're going up a team like PC North that has been dominant all season long. But Broken Arrow's been a fun team to cover. I mean, we got a talented player like Mackenzie Mathurin, who's a D1 commit. I mean, it's easy to root for them and the team. So they were really fun to be around and watch when we got to go up there and cover a few games on KREFsports.tv for them. And, of course, all the guys over at AeroVision, Dylan Rivera, they did an excellent job of covering them throughout the whole season. But they just faced off against a really good PC North team in the semis. And that team is just loaded everywhere. Brandy Harrod that we talked about yesterday for them, long guard, very athletic, and she gave them problems in that semifinal game.
You know, on the girls' side, I don't think we've talked about this enough, and maybe we have, but it's worth reiterating. We saw a lot of star power, a lot of star power in girls' basketball this year. Be it here in the Metroplex, be it up in Tulsa when we went to the Bixby tournament and got a look at a team from Arkansas, got a look at Booker T. Washington. So really, really cool, really fulfilling season that we got to cover in the basketball world.
Yeah, so many great players, and we feel like we've had this for several years now, where it's just so spread out with talent across the board at the 6A level, and that was another thing for this year. You had so many teams that had at least like one D1 commit on their team that could possibly give them a chance to make a deep run in the postseason. PC North just had so many weapons, and they were a tough team to beat all season long.
Yeah, no doubt. And on the boys' side, too, got to see a lot of talent, too. It'll be interesting to see what a lot of these teams – I mean, you look at our basketball team. So Deer Creek's going to graduate its leading scorer this year. Clyde Davis Jr. is off to Allen College. On the girls' side, Edmond Memorial's losing its two best players, going to Oregon, going to Utah. Edmond North will have to remorph itself. Westmore's losing two of its best players to graduation as well. And then you look on and on and on down the line at players that are leaving. It'll be interesting to see, and this isn't to do a way too early rankings here because we just ended the year, but it'll be interesting to see what the landscape of 6A in the OKC area and beyond is going to look like in the 2025-2026 season.
Yeah, you just have to reload. That's what teams have to do every single year, and we got to see some players who were freshmen, sophomore that stepped up into a bigger role, and they could be someone that plays a big part for their team next year. But we see it with all of our teams that we have on KREF Sports, where we see players play a much bigger role for their team the next year. Yeah,
I mean, Southmore's two leading scorers still have high school eligibility. I believe Moore's two leading scorers have high school eligibility left. Edmond Santa Fe is going to be an interesting team in terms of, on the boys' side, in terms of them being pretty young as well. And then on the girls, we'll see. Deer Creek's got a young team. We'll see what they bring back. See what Moore brings back on the girls' side. Edmond Memorial's entering a new era. So is Norman. So is Norman North. So what should be fun in terms of basketball. Anything real quickly, I know we didn't play it on this, but I do want to ask you this. Has anything stood out to you from baseball season so far? And we'll delve more into this next week, but so far, early thoughts from baseball.
I've got to see Bigsby a little bit so far in the start of the season, and they didn't take much of a step back. They returned some big pieces on the mound and in the starting lineup for them, so they've been fun to cover so far. We have a lot of our teams right now playing in spring break, taking a trip out of state, playing against teams that they haven't seen before, so another sport that we have in baseball where you'll see D1 kids on the mound and at the plate, and we've had that spread across here with our KREF team. So again, 6A baseball is loaded, and there is several teams that can have a chance to win the whole thing.
Yeah, Southmore's a really opportunistic team. Piedmont's off to a really good start. That's caught the eye of some people, and of course, Edmond Santa Fe is going to be a problem. But we'll delve more into baseball in our episode next week. Remember, continue to follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook, across all of our social medias. We get you highlights, we get you updates on everything that we cover. And again, congratulations to Deer Creek for winning their first state championship since 1974. All right, that'll do it for our episode of the KREF Sports High School Huddle on our KREFsports.tv YouTube. That's Connor Pasby. I'm Grayson Singleton. So long, everybody. Have a good weekend.